p.m. on Saturday, January 24th, 2026. It's a great day to be alive, isn't that right? Yes, it is. Actually, I would like to take a brief moment to acknowledge the space between. This book here calls it the ether. That's not exactly what I mean, but it got me thinking that whether it's like a new pair of shoes, or I don't know, breaking something, there's always sort of a mysterious element. And what's interesting is there are learning curves in life, but to attribute a learning curve to a sort of sense that seems sort of you know like environmental, you know and it's about you, it's about your probabilities of things, or I'm speaking from experience, but it's interesting because how do you train a dragon? How do you condition something that you don't see or feel, except for what, in times of like chaos or emergency or something? Well, it's not really true because it's still a presence, it's still pushing on you, but you just you don't notice it as much, you know? That's because no matter how many doctors there are, we still don't have all the answers to things. Hey, Crystal, can you hear me okay? I was gonna do some reading, but I got a call a minute ago. I don't know if my volume is still on. I've got like just a couple more chapters to this book, so I was gonna do that, but I'm worried. Um, anyways, so just talking about just how actually, for what it's worth, there is I guess an intuitive instinct. To put those two things together, it's not just instinct, but intuitive instinct. And that's sort of like the best way I can describe this ethereal zeitgeist of a condition, which is that you do have to conscientiously conduct yourself in ways that you think is constructively impressionable. It's like dancing. And I was just thinking today about how, like, when I was younger, I felt sort of miffed by, like, the difference between how models stood naturally, like, postured naturally, and how I did. And I'm like, bruh, like, how come, like, why is every time I take a arrest. Like, why don't I look like a model, you know? And it's hard because, you know, I think that we do really uh, adapt or assimilate to our environments, you know? So it is a lot of signaling. But yes, you'd like to ask me something? Go ahead. What can I is it related to the subject of um a atmosphere of superpower energy and also um education? Because otherwise you're but off topic. No, I want to finish reading this, but I guess whatever. I mean, I don't want to. Yesterday, I didn't want to. I wanted clear glasses and I didn't want little ones. I don't know. I wanted sort of a distortion effect. But it's a little stuffy in here. I'm doing the best I can, but all right, so see how much more I've got? It's like right at the end. See? There was like 3 pages that sounded sexual in nature, and I was ready to throw it out the window, but that's kind of annoying. Oh. Okay. Chapter 61, August. He never wanted her to find out this way. He would rather have been buried with the truth, the darkness festering inside him, slowly destroying him, than hear the words spoken out loud. Than see the look on Ren's face once she understood just how many secrets he'd kept from her. It was years and years of lies rupturing, and all he could do was sit back and watch. Edith seemed to be savoring the moment, reveling in the chaos she'd created. I'm guessing August didn't tell you about our family drama. She stalked toward Ren, her steps slow and menacing. Shadows sprang from her limbs, wrapping around her arms like coiling snakes. Doesn't surprise me. The two of us aren't exactly on the best terms right now. August groaned. I'm going to rip you apart. Edith ignored him, eyes fixed on Ren. August could see her fighting to break free from the spell, the terror in her eyes as she remained frozen to the ground. But even if Ren could somehow beat the enchantment, she'd be powerless against Edith. You see, my brother and I had a deal. He was supposed to bring you to the Demian Order during the final trial, and I thought everything was going according to plan until I learned that his feelings had grown complicated. Edith smiled and lifted a brow. Funny, I didn't think my brother was capable of love, but then again, he's always had a knack for surprising me. She snaked her way closer, hand lifted toward Ren's face. One of the shadows fluttering around her arm slithered onto Ren's shoulder, skating over her collarbone. August watched helplessly as Ren's eyes widened in fear. He fought through the pain, lifting himself onto his knees, but he couldn't break free of the magic holding him down. He couldn't save her. Recently, I had a feeling I could no longer trust my brother. Call it sisterly intuition, so I made the choice to enter Blackwood and see for myself. Observe. He had let out a sigh. I pushed my luck in the second trial, showed my cards too early. You see, my brother and I have a pesky little way of knowing when the other is around. And when I sent that shadow creature, I knew my brother had finally sensed my presence. Ren shook her head, but I know you probably have questions, but I'm afraid they're going to have to wait. We're running a bit behind schedule. She snapped her fingers, and Ren's body shuddered as the spell loosened its grip on her. Before she could retaliate, one of the shadows wrapped itself tightly around her wrist, shackling her. Sorry, precautionary measures. Ren groaned as she fought against the restraints. Why are you doing this? Edith's smile darkened. Her gaze shifted to August. Do you want to be the one to tell her, or should I? Panic seized him as he fought through the pain. It felt as though his body were engulfed in flames, his brain pounding mercilessly against his skull. Lofty, his lungs betrayed him as he gasped in a ragged breath. He tried to stay focused, to keep his eyes on hers, but brown dots had begun to clog his vision. I've kept things from you, lied to you, but I need you to know that I would never have let her take you. Ren's face creased with confusion. Take me. He buckled forward as another wave of pain seized his chest, but he kept his gaze locked on hers. Part of him was afraid that if he looked away, if he gave in to the pain, he'd lose her completely. Edith recruited me long ago. She convinced me to join the Demian Order before I realized what it had become. His words tumbled out of him. He knew he didn't have a lot of time, that Edith was going to win this fight no matter what. He couldn't stop her, not now, but he could try to make Ren understand. He could use the seconds he had left to try to mend what he had broken. I was assigned to gain your trust, to bring you to her when you were ready. And at first I was going to do it. I thought it was the right thing, but it isn't who I am anymore. It isn't who I want to be. And the closer I got to you, the more I knew I couldn't go through with it. Everything. A guttural scream cut him off as another wave of pain sent him collapsing toward the ground. He looked up through his damp curls, wincing as he pushed himself back onto his knees. He could barely get the words out, but he had to keep going. Everything changed. I knew I couldn't do it anymore, that I couldn't help Edith. A part of me had known for years that what the Demian Order had become was just another form of destruction. He drew in a breath and fought to remain conscious. She needed to hear this, to hear every word, but it was you who turned the light back on, Ren, the one who brought me back to life after years and years of drowning. It was you who dragged me back from hell. It was you. It was always you. It will always be you. Silence split the night. Unspoken words simmered behind Ren's eyes. And then a single clap, and another and another. Beautiful, Edith mused with a grin. She mockingly clapped her hands together, head falling back as she let out a cackle of laughter. Did you plan that? I mean, that was some groundbreaking stuff right there. You should really write that down. She cupped Ren's face between her hands, angling her closer, but I'm afraid we're going to have to cut this love fest a bit short. We have somewhere to be. Ren fought against her restraints. I don't understand. Why have August spent all these years gaining my trust just to recruit me? Edith inhaled a sharp breath, something hungry and feral gleaming in his eyes. Because we couldn't just snatch you from your bed in the middle of the night. We needed to wait, to be patient, to obey what is written and fulfill the soulless one's prophecy. Because you, Ren Lofty, are not just a regular recruit. Edith's gaze snaked over Ren's face, drinking her in. You are so much more. Ren shuddered. What am I? At this, Edith chuckled. You'll find out soon enough. But for now, you need to come with me. Ren took a rigid step backward. I'm not going anywhere with you. Now, Ren. Edith chuckled. Let's play nice. I can't have you kicking and screaming the whole way there. I need you compliant. You can do that for me, can't you? Never, Ren spat out. Edith's gaze hardened. Fine, then watch him suffer. August collapsed onto the ground as a searing pain shot through his limbs. It was fire all at once, engulfing his limbs. He wanted to rip his own skin off, to peel back the layers and let himself wither away. He must have been screaming. There was a noise echoing in his ears, loud and grating, but he'd lost track of what was up and what was down, consumed by the never-ending pain. A voice sliced through the chaos. Stop! The pain vanished. August gasped, hands clawing at the dirt. The second he saw the look on Ren's face, he knew. He understood what she was about to do. No, he tried to gather himself onto his knees, but he was too weak, too broken. He crawled on his hands and knees, desperate to reach her to save her from the irreparable decision she was about to make. Don't. But Wren was already reaching her hand out, beckoning Edith closer. He watched, terror coursing through him as Edith extended her own hand toward Wren. There was a brief moment of hesitation, a flicker of regret in Wren's eyes. Goodbye, August. He shook his head. Please don't do this. Her voice flooded through his mind one last time. Remember your promise. And then she slid her hand into Edith, and the two of them vanished, not a trace left behind. The next part is after. Honestly, I can't really cope with how much I don't. Well, you know what it is? It's that it's too sadistic, honestly. It really is. Mostly it's like over and over again that like they're sort of complacent about pain. They don't really flinch when they see it, and they almost seem to prevent intervention or you know, like they're obstinate about help. It's like too much of a demonstration. I don't like this. Honestly, it's like kind of torture having to read it. Did I mention my nephew's name is August? So, yeah, I don't really like that in this context. Now you know. Okay, bye.